Hello, beauty friends. I am Meredith Roddy from Beadalon and Artistic Wire. Welcome. Welcome so much to everybody who is here participating live. And of course, to everyone who is watching the replay on the Michael's YouTube channel over in the community classroom portion. Welcome to you as well. Don't forget that this class is being recorded and will be available pretty soon for your viewing pleasure to go back, skip over all the chit chat and chatter and get right to the meat of the classes. But what we're making today is this gorgeous necklace that I have on today. And I specifically wanted to model it on me because it's one of those pieces that you might see down in its glamour shot or hanging on a peg somewhere and not really see its full potential. It's part of why I like this project so much, because it kind of sneaks up on you a little bit, right? Because it's deceptively simple. This is actually a beginner project, but don't tell anyone, because it will look much more fancy when you have assembled it all. Then people will think that it is a beginner project. As always with all of these projects, I made mine with pearls and crystals. Any mix of beads that you have is going to work for this project. And what we're doing today, we are going to be crocheting, and we're going to be crocheting with a product called Supplemax. And once we come down to the beading mat, I'll go through all of the different materials that we're going to need for today. But again, like I said, easy project, looks amazing on. And really good comment just came through from Monica. She said, I thought it was only for dressing up, but looks great casual too. Those are my absolute favorite pieces of jewelry, things that you can wear with a wedding dress or a little black dress for a cocktail party, or just like a tennis shirt, really, to go out to the grocery store. So I am going to try to keep up with the comments. If anybody has any questions, if you're watching me live, go ahead and throw those over on the side. But we're pretty cut and dry for class today. I think we're going to be in good shape. So let's go ahead and take that overhead camera and we will get right to it. First, I'm going to take off, this is always my hardest part, is taking off the necklace so that we can see it nice and close up so that you can see what we are making today. Of course, I'm going to put on my most important tool for this project, my readers, and let's go over all of the things that we are going to need today. First, let's take a little bit of a close-up look at what's going on here. So like I said, I am using Supplemax, and Supplemax is monofilament illusion cord. Some of you might recognize this just as fishing line, right? I know when I first started making jewelry as a preteen, I raided my dad's tackle box and his fishing supplies to make jewelry. And this monofilament is what I used to make a lot of my early pieces, and I still have them today. In the jewelry aisle, you'll see it under the name Supplemax. And I am using the 0.012 diameter or the 0.30 millimeter, diameter for my crochet today. However, if you had a different diameter or even a different thread, you can most certainly do this technique. And I've actually also taught these classes using wire. So you can do crochet with all different kinds of things. If you are a full-on crocheter, which I can safely say that I am a crocheter as well. If you had some yarn, you could do this technique with yarn. Also, there's no reason why you couldn't do it for the monofilament. So Peggy says she dislikes the monofilament line. It has its purposes. It does. It's not for everything, certainly. And I don't use it for everything, and I don't recommend it for everything. But in this case, it really is the right material for the job, because what I want is this illusion style, this look of this jumble of beads, but not necessarily seeing the stringing material. Maybe I do. Maybe I want my stringing material to be black. You know how I can go off on tangents about different materials, but I think it's important to keep people inspired, because you might not have what I'm using. And I want you, well, of course, I want you to go and get more beading supplies, because we all need more beading supplies. But We, of course, also want to be able to make with what we have on hand. So Supplemax is my material that I am going to be using today as the base. We will also need just a little bit of, this is 20 or 20, I think this is actually 20 gauge, 22 gauge German style wire. If you have artistic wire, that will work also. I grabbed some 20 gauge. We're going to be using this to learn how to connect the 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 strands here. So I have them connected through a cone and onto a jump ring. So that's how we can make a multi-strand necklace, but reduce it to 1 strand. We are also going to need the Beadalon findings pack, of course, for any class of your choice. I just threw on, I wanted to keep kind of a simple theme with my necklace here today. So I put on a spring ring clasp. Use a lobster, use a toggle, use whatever you want for whatever kind of clasp floats your boat. Let's see. Okay, so we have those bead cones, right? This is what my bead cone package looks like. Bead cones come in all different shapes and sizes. And of course, if you've been to your Michaels recently, you've seen they've changed a lot of the packaging. I think that their finding section looks great now. They have a lot more things, a lot of different, it looks really, really good. And that's what we're going to be using here on the ends. And then of course, everybody's favorite part, well, I won't assume, my favorite part, and that's the beads. And honestly, I took a bead soup for my project today. I used these white pearls. So the white pearls are these guys right here, glass white pearls, 8mm. Okay. And then I used a whole bunch of crystal beads left over from other projects. So some of these are these glass beads. That's my part number right here. Some of them are these glass beads. Number right there. But the best part, again, anything goes with this design. And you'll see once we get started how simple it is to construct. The one thing I will recommend is to have 2 6mm Bicone beads, because what we're going to do without those is use them right here on the top of the bead cones. And if you don't have bicones, that's okay. I just like I think that they look the best. And so that's what I'm going to teach with today, because that's what I like the best. So we went over the beads, and then of course, just normal tools, nothing super fancy for our project today. Pliers, cutters. But the one thing that you will need, of course, is a crochet hook. And this one is just a 3.5mm. I think it translates to a size H crochet hook. But if you have, a crochet hook that looks like this, or a crochet hook that looks like this, really anyone will do. I happen to crochet, so I happen to have a lot of crochet hooks, even if you have one that's a lot bigger. Okay. Also will work. This isn't like knitting or crocheting a sweater where you have to worry about gauge. It's really a very loose and fun and not gauge related project. And part of what I like about it is because I'm not paying attention to gauge, I'm not paying attention to my tension necessarily, it ends up that these strands become different sizes and different lengths, I should say, rather than sizes, becomes different lengths. And that adds, in my opinion, to the beauty of the piece. So we've gone over beads, we've gone over materials that we need. Let's get to making. And you'll see that how manageable, easy, and I dare say fun this project is. So I have already strung up all of my beads because it is a bead heavy project. I used almost the entire card from these 8mm pearls. There were four strands 7 inches long, and this is all I have left. Just because when I counted out, I counted for each of my strands 16 pearls and 18 bead or 18 crystal beads, big bead, little bead, big bead, little bead. You can do more, you can do less, totally up to you. You can use them all, use fewer. This example over here uses 5 strands. The one that I did today is going to use 3. And you're welcome. I've already made 3. So we have the one that we're going to do together. I've already done 3. We're going to put them all together, figure out how to finish them off, and away we will go. And then, of course, I'll mention it again at the end. But if and when, not if, but when you make this project today, please go ahead and post it on your socials and tag Beadalon, #Beadalon, #Make It With Michaels, #Michaels Community Classroom. And then also please follow and tag me. I'm at Meredith Joy Designs, and I love seeing what people make. It fills my heart with so much joy. There was a question that came through earlier in the chat about these spool tamers. This is one of the kind of I can't live without Beadalon items that I have. All this is replacing the clip on my spool. It makes it easier for me, especially in a project like this, where I have pre-strung all of my beads, just to be able to keep it on the spool. And you can see I'm holding on to the little tabby there and pulling out the slack so that I have enough that I can comfortably work with, but I don't have monofilament all over the place, all tangled up in my workspace. That's not good for anybody. So what I have here and what I had done before class today is I strung up 4 sets. So each set had 16 of the large pearls, and then 16, I guess it's 17 of the crystals, because 1 on each end. And you can see it's totally random. I have some bicones in here. I have some small rondels. I'll put this a little bit closer to the camera so you can really see what's going on. I have some small rondels. I have some larger rondels. This is bicone heavy, this one. Over here, you can see some of the other sizes that I have, and then you can also see where we're going. And I think, even though people call this crocheting, all we're doing is slip stitch. We're not chain stitch. We're not actually doing a full crochet. We're not doing double crochet. We're not doing, anything fancy. We are only doing a chain stitch. And I think that also makes it a little less intimidating, because we don't have to worry about counts, we don't have to worry about tension, we don't have to worry about any of the things that typically you need to worry about when you're crocheting. All you need to worry about is making something pretty that brings you joy. So first things first, to get started, we are going to tie a slip knot. I'm getting my words all squirrely today. Slip knot. So around and through. If you're not great at making a slip knot, no worries. This is really just a holder. All you need to do is get a loop here. I'm not gonna take away points for not being able to do a perfect slip knot, but just one more time, all I'm doing is I'm wrapping it around my finger and I'm pulling it through to make that slip knot, and I'm inserting my crochet hook. Again, all we're doing is a chain stitch. And to do that chain stitch, and it's a little tough to see with the clear monofilament. However, I think it's important to I don't know where I was going with this. That's what I'm using today, because if I had done it with black, it would have been a totally different look for my project, which could have been cool. But I think we're going to be okay with the clear. You know what I can do actually? Is that going to be better to do it now? I think to keep it on this background. All right, let's work together. Let me know how you're doing with actually seeing the material. That might be a little bit better. It's not super pretty, but I think it's going to be a little bit easier to see. Perfect. Okay, thank you. I'm seeing some comments that everybody can see it fine. All right, so chain stitch. Got my crochet hook here. I'm coming around. Okay, so all I'm doing is I'm coming toward myself and around to the back, and I'm going to use the hook of that crochet hook to pull. First one's always the toughest, to pull the cord through on itself. So let me do it one more time. I know, right? Better with black. Oftentimes I think of everything. This was not one of those times, but we're nothing if not able to fix things. Okay, so back around to the back and pull it through the loop. Okay. Next step. I know it's this really tough project here. Move one bead down into place. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that same chain stitch around the bead. So toward myself and back around, and then I'm going to pull that thread through the loop. Once again, around and back and through the loop. You could do 2 here. I tend to like the look of 1 chain stitch in between each bead. You do you. So I move my next bead down, around and through, around and through. So you can see it's not really crochet. We're really just making chains. Next one down, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this whole strand. And you can see it works up very, very quickly. I mean, anyone who crochets knows that when you get into the rhythm of it, it comes together very quickly. I'm going to speed up a little bit, and then I'm going to slow it back down so you can see how it works in real time. And then I'm going to slow it back down again. I think that we had a lot of grandmoms who taught us crochet while watching the stories. Those are good memories. And once I don't have any slack left here, that's when I come back to my spool and I pull out a little more. Now, if you don't have a spool tamer, no worries. Just keep that clip on, take the clip off, take a couple rolls or a couple rounds off, put the clip back on. You don't want to work without the clip on because tangled Supplemax is no fun at all. Take it from me. Tangled Supplemax is no fun at all. Okay. Let's get my rhythm back. Yeah, Wanda makes a great point. She says that she likes to take bead crochet on an airplane. I have a couple of trips actually coming up, and I'm a little bit crazy. I mean, we all know that, who has been hanging out with me on classes for over 2 years. But I like to take a seed bead project on an airplane. I know. That's where I used to crochet on an airplane. But what I found is whenever there was any turbulence or bumps or takeoff or landing or really anything that caused me a little bit of agita, my tension would tend to get really, really tight. So I make a lot of scarves and cowls. And so there would be like a section in the middle that was really, really tight, and then it would get looser. And then it go really, really tight, and then it would get looser again. So I've decided that something that is a little bit more uniform is probably a better way for me to go on an airplane. But you can see all I'm doing is I'm pulling a bead down. I'm coming with my crochet hook around the back and pulling that loop through. I'm not worrying. Some of my stitches in here are tighter. Some of them are looser. I'm not worried about that at all. That is what gives my project that really airy feel. And quite frankly, it would be nearly impossible to get each of these stitches to be exactly the right, or I'm sorry, to be exactly the same. And once you kind of give a little tug on it, everything sort of evens it out. So one of the other things that you can do with crochet is crochet with wire. But one of the challenges that I have is I need to go with a really thin gauge of wire, like thinner, almost sometimes thinner than 26. If bead crochet is a challenge, try a 28 gauge or even a 30 gauge wire. It might be hard to find, but you might have better luck with it. I have been known to knock over a CP tray before, but that's where a tacky mat comes in really, really handy. I know there are always challenges. I just know for me and how I get when I fly, my attention is all over the place. All right, so I'm coming toward the end. I'm going to just slow this down one more time. And you can see, I mean, just in, gosh, what did that take me? Less than 5 minutes with slowing it down and talking through it to make one. So to make a necklace with a bunch of them, it's not, I mean, you could probably bang one out in less than 2 hours, certainly. So I have my bead in place around from front to back and pull the loop through the loop. Pull the loop through the loop. Bring a bead down. You can see I'm doing this with, oops, you know what? I forgot to do that extra one. So here, if I forgot to do an extra one, honestly, it's not the end of the world. But one of the things that you want to be real careful about when you are doing crochet, any crochet, whether it's bead crochet, whether it's using yarn, whether it's using not necessarily that much wire, but if you pull on this, because it's just looped to loop to looped, it's all going to come out. So you need to be aware of that in both a good way and a bad way. In the first way, because if you need to pull it out, if there's a mistake or a bead doesn't look quite right, or you missed a stitch, or gosh, any number of things could go wrong. But you can very easily undo it, but you can also very easily undo it. So things to be aware of. So now I've come to the end, and I want to make sure that I end each of my rows with a crystal. And I was specific when I did my example. I ended all of my rows with a small crystal. And you know, from past classes that I've done, I like to usually end my pieces with smaller beads. I just think visually and structurally and functionally, it looks and works better. And I'm just going to leave myself about 6 inches with my scissors and just snip that right off. The Supplemax is very, very easy to cut. You can see I still have my crochet hook around that loop. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that loop so it's bigger, 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 and now it's through. And this is what ties a little knot here on the end. So now I don't have to worry about it unraveling. So I have that slip knot on the first side, and then the knot that I tied on the second one. Darlene is making a really good suggestion to put a stitch marker in so it won't all come undone. Should be easy with all the loose stitches here. Totally a great idea, not even necessary really. All right, so now I have my one strand that I just did here, and by the magic of magic, I have done 4 strands. And I just have these bead stoppers here on the end, again, just to make sure that things don't get all tangled. With the Supplemax, one of its challenges, because it's so thin and because it's so slippery, also in certain circumstances, one of its pluses, but it does tend to get a little tangling. So I try to do my very best to minimize the chance of it getting all tangling. So I'm just adding that one that I did to my others. And you can see that because I didn't worry about tension because I didn't worry too much about really about anything except just getting those beads locked into those stitches. I have a nicely layered necklace, so not every strand is the exact same length. Now these guys are called bead stoppers and they are available at michaels.com. I don't believe that these guys are available in stores, but luckily we have a lot of Beadalon products that are becoming available on the michaels.com on their website, and so easy enough to get, right? And I think you can order and get it sent to the store, which is also a plus. All right, so now all we have to do is turn this into a necklace. So to remember, or if you joined us a little bit later, what we are going to do is we are going to reduce. So we are going to reduce those 4 strands, or in the case of my example, I had 5 strands. And we are going to add those 5 strands to a wrapped loop. We're going to pull that wrapped loop through a bead cone. We're going to put a bicone on the top, and then we're going to make a wrapped loop here. And this technique is so versatile. You could use this, you could do tassels this way, you can make earrings this way, you could do this as a bracelet. I mean, there's so many possibilities for how to for where to go with this technique. And each of these strands is about, I'm just measuring down here, is about 16 inches. So if you want to make them longer, you certainly can. If you want to make them shorter, you certainly can. My sweet spot for bead strands is usually about 16 inches. And so that's how it came out. Yours, if you use the 16 pearls, like I did, yours could be a little shorter. It could be a little bit longer. It's just going to be dependent on how you do your crocheting. Yeah, fabulous bridal jewelry, but you could do this in like black and red for Halloween. You can really, honestly, bead soup doesn't even have to be consistent. I've done a couple of projects with wire specifically where I've just done like a sweep of beads. I have several different like little cups around my studio with all different kinds of beads in them, and just using those is a great way of using up orphan beads, but also making a really, really cool design. So for the wrapped loop, I'm going to keep my loop kind of small. So I don't want a real big loop because that loop is going to have to fit up in as far as I can get it in my, I'm pointing to it, but you can't see it, in my bead cone. So why don't I go ahead and take these friends out. And I want to make sure I use matching cones. There are a couple of different sizes in here, and I've used all of the large ones except for one. So we're going to use the smaller ones today. And I've cut a piece of wire about 4 inches. This is much more than I need, but again, it's always better for me to have a little bit more wire, especially when I'm making wrapped loops. So I'm going to hold this. Let's bring this nice and close to our camera. I'm going to hold it pretty close to the tips of my pliers, and I'm going to make a little bend about 45 degrees. Then with my finger, I'm going to pull that back up and around to about 45 degrees. Does not want to focus. There we go. And then I reposition my tools. So right now that loop is around the top of the pliers. Now I'm putting it around the bottom of the pliers, and I'm going to switch hands. Now this is how I make my wrap loops. Different people make wrap loops different ways. That's cool. You do you, if you have a different way of doing a wrap loop, but this is how I do mine. Now I'm going to pull this. Why this is not working? There we go. I'm going to pull this around toward me. I don't know what is happening. this video, I'm sorry, I'm just reading some of the comments. Let me finish with this wrap loop and then I'll address some things. So now what I'm going to do is I like to use the push and pull technique. So I'm going to push that to the back, pull that to the front, push it around to the back, and pull around to the front. And now I have a nice, cute little wrap loop. I'm going to come in here and snip this off. And even though my wrap loop is going to be hidden, I still like to tuck that tail in. I don't like having my tails sticking out. So yeah, so you can I use the same order of large beads. It's just, I call it a big bead, little bead design. It's just alternating beads. So the consistency are these white 8mm pearls. And then the crystals in between are all different. So you can see some of them are rondels, some of them are bicones, some of them are rounds, and they're all different sizes from 4mm to 6mm. That's not really all different sizes, 2 different sizes, but lots of different shapes, 4mm and 6mm. And these are just the glass beads. You could do these with the Preciosa crystals. I just didn't happen to have any of the Preciosa crystals, but if I did, I 100% would have done this project in the Preciosa. All right, so now what I need to do is I need to thread these 4 strands through that little hole. I find, since I've given myself so much extra room here, if I trim these guys so that they're all the same, roughly the same length, it just makes it a little easier. It's one of those little tips that I like to throw in there. And then hopefully I am able to do that in one shot. I got all of them except for one. Okay, so all of them, hopefully I did that on camera. I was actually watching what I was doing, coming back through. And now I can take my bead stopper and I can take that off. Again, it's just there to make sure things don't get tangled up and that I have everything all together nice and neat. And now nothing fancy. I'm not doing anything fancy here. I'm just going to tie an overhand knot. So I have all of my pieces of Supplemax coming through that loop. And I am going to, very carefully and actually watching what I'm doing, I am going to tie an overhand knot and that nice and tight. And then I'm going to do that one more time to make sure everything is nice and secure. Now, one of the great things about the Supplemax, and one of the things that I learned early on as a kid making jewelry, is you can fuse Supplemax together using a cord cutter. And that's how I like to do this here. I'm just going to heat my wildfire cord cutter up. There are many different varieties and versions of a cord cutter, but basically what you do is you press the button, it heats up. Sometimes it heats up really red so you can see it, but it's not heating up that much. And then I seared it and then I just tapped it. And now that knot isn't going anywhere. It is sealed. It is a happy knot. I feel like this is the time in class when then the teacher tugs on it and everything goes everywhere. But now, in fact, it is going to hold. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of those bead cones and just throw it right over the top. Okay. Doesn't have to be any snugger than this. All I wanted to do is have that loop and my knot hidden. Mission accomplished. And again, if you want to use a longer bead cone, that is totally up to you. And then this is where that bicone comes in. Again, totally fine to use around. But what I like, let me see if I can really show this. And a 6mm, you can use a 4mm also. The bicone tends to kind of nestle in the top of that cone, and just both pleasing to my eye and structurally, I like the way that everything just snugs up. Maybe that's totally a personal preference. You can do a seed bead on top of here. You don't have to use any bead. I just always use a bicone. So I'm going to go ahead and just like I did on the other side, I'm going to go ahead and make that wrapped loop. Hopefully this one will work a little bit better than the last one, which indeed it did. Sometimes when you go a little bit faster, it works a little bit better. I don't know why that is. Get my nippers out, snip that down, and tuck my end. And I'm going to do that very same thing on the other side. So I've come over here, and again, it's a very loose, airy design, so I don't have to worry about about making sure anything is perfect, for lack of a better word. But I am going to take another piece of wire. And one of the things that I did, and I just do this automatically. I don't know how many people noticed that I did this on the first pass, but I take my nylon jaw pliers and I just run it over the wire. It just straightens it out. Oftentimes, especially if your wire is coming out of a big old wire nest in your drawer, it can tend to be a little bendy. So you want to make sure that that it has a nice straightness to it before you put your wrap loop in. So once again, I'm just bending this down, like using my thumb as to hold everything in place. And I'm taking my pointer finger, bringing that back around. And because I have the loop over the top, I want to change it. So my loop is now over the bottom jaw. I switch hands and then pull this around toward me. Again, you've probably seen this done a couple of different ways by different instructors. I know Sarah Lovecraft and I do this a little bit differently, but whatever works for you. So if my way of doing a wrapped loop just does not yield a good loop for you, try a different way. Try it, until you get it. Because making wrap loops is a really important part of jewelry making, and there are a bunch of different ways of being able to do it. Okay, so I just have my little wrap loop, and just between you and me, I won't tell anybody if your inside wrap loop isn't perfect. So not to worry. Your secret will be safe with me if your inside wrap loop isn't perfect. I'd like your outside wrap loop to be looking good, but if your inside wrap loop isn't great, then that'll just be our little secret. Okay, so now once again, I just trim those edges just to be able to get them through here. And if you can't get them all through at once, you can certainly put a couple through and then come back and get the one that you left behind. But you definitely need all of them to come through. I love this technique because it's a great way of using up leftover beads, but also really showcasing something that is very easy, but looks really fancy. All right, so I have all of my layers, or all of my strands, through my loop. And once again, I'm just tying, it's just an overhand knot. So nothing fancy. I suppose you could, if you are a fancy knot tire, you could go, you could next level this knot, but I don't think that we really need to. I know, and it's a good way of reusing, or using, I shouldn't say reusing, I should say using some craft supplies like, I don't know, crochet hooks for when we went through our crocheting phase. Mine comes back around, usually around this time of year, which, makes good sense since it's starting to get cold and all of a sudden I want scarves and cowls again, and hats. Of course, I love making a beanie. So let me show that cord cutter again. Again, this is the Wildfire cord cutter from Beadalon, but there is a similar cord cutter, both in store and at michaels.com. And so I just gave a little bit of pressure on the button, snip those off, and then I just kind of give them a little tap. One thing I will caution, both with the Beadalon cord cutter and any cord cutter, you don't want to blow this out. You don't want to hold your finger down on the button for the whole time. I just kind of tap it. It gets a little warm. I do my thing. And I've already released my thumb. It's a little bit of a finessing, but I found in teaching a lot of classes with a cord cutter, the tendency is to want to hold it down and keep it hot the whole time, and that will A, burn out your battery, B, burn out your cord cutter, and C, it's actually a little bit dangerous because it gets really, really hot. And if you don't have a wildfire cord cutter, yes, you can use scissors for sure. The other thing is to use a lighter. Just real careful, because you don't want to melt anything, but just kind of like just the little top of the flame of the lighter will work. That's the word I'm looking for. It will work. Okay, so now I'm going to come in here with my Bicone and do that wrap loop again. And just as a reminder, the size of your crochet hook is not really that important. I've done this project with a little teeny tiny crochet hook. I've done it with a great big crochet hook. It makes a lot more difference, of course, when you are knitting or crocheting, rather, a sweater. And you know, whether it's worsted weight, whether it's bulky yarn, like all of those things matter in the crochet world. But when you're just doing a little bead crochet with Supplemax, a little chain stitch, does not matter at all. All right, so now I have my loops. And you can see I was not paying super good attention. They're roughly the same size. I generally like my loops to be a little more symmetric than that. But if you don't tell anybody, no one's ever going to know. And that's the thing too, honestly, is getting your loops. It's clearly, if I'm paying attention, I usually get them a little bit more accurate, but nobody's ever going to know if your loops are just a little bit off. I give you permission to forgive yourself for not having perfectly symmetric loops. So I'm pulling out from my Beadalon Findings Variety Pack, which you can find, of course, at michaels.com. I don't believe this is available in store anymore, but you might be able to find some in your local stores. I know that the jewelry aisle has just gone through a little bit of a rejiggering, and I'm not seeing a, or as they call it, a reset. I'm not seeing a spring ring, so we're just gonna use lobster. Honestly, I'm not that particular about my clasps. Sometimes I use a lobster, sometimes I use a spring ring, sometimes I use a toggle. It kind of depends on what I have on hand. Sometimes it depends on who I'm making the piece for. More so with bracelets, do I really go for kind of a more stylish clasp. But all I'm doing is I'm opening a jump ring, I'm attaching that lobster, and I am doing a little wiggle to get that closed. Now, a lot of people will just put another jump ring on the other side, and that is perfectly legitimate. But I like using a tag. I think it just gives it an extra little something, an extra little dose of fanciness, extra little bit of professionalism in my jewelry design. And there we go. So super simple. I am going to put this guy on. And Chanel, I think it's time. We did it. We did the whole project. And I'm not sure. I think I might like it with the 4 strands rather than the 5 strands. Hold on, I need to get myself reorganized here so I can see myself on camera to see. I don't know. I think I might like that one better than the original. I don't know. I think it would depend on what I was wearing, but I think with this shirt, since it is a little bit more casual, I kind of like that just 4 strand look rather than the 5. And again, something that you might not think would be such a fun, pretty design looks really elegant in person. So I'm kind of excited. I'm bringing my, against my better judgment, I'm bringing 3 12-year-olds to the mall this afternoon. So I'm gonna wear my fancy pearls and see if anybody mistakes me for a fancy person. Probably not. Let's just be honest, probably not. But thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. And again, thank you for hanging out with me for these past over 2 years for classes. I have had a wonderful time teaching in the Michaels Community Classroom. I mentioned at the very beginning that we're taking a little bit of a hiatus from classes. Do you want to come say bye? For a little while. So if you don't see them in the upcoming classes, don't be alarmed, but you can always come and hang out with me on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern time over on the Beadalon Facebook page. Again, hashtag Michaels, hashtag Make It with Michaels Community Classroom, Beadalon, and of course, come and find me on Instagram and connect with me. I am at Meredith Joy Design. So it's not goodbye, it's just see you later. And then of course, all of the amazing classes that all of the makers in both the jewelry category and of course all craft are all archived on the Michaels YouTube channel. So I hope everybody has a wonderful fall, a wonderful rest of your year, and I look forward to seeing you soon, and Finn will miss you most of all. So I will see you soon, and until then, happy beading.